Hello, friends. This is Dr. John WorldPeace coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Um, I haven't made too many videos lately because I've been working on Twitter. They've got a new format. I won't go into the details, but it's more in sync with the way that I want to communicate. However, for videos, I need to cut a video and then post the link on Twitter. But I want to, in some cases, go ahead and do a alternate video on YouTube and get that double exposure. You'll also notice that I got a lot of hats. I got a lot of hats about a lot of things, my veterans hats and whatever, but my dad was raised on a farm, and my grandfather had a farm. He died when I was 30, but I would go there frequently and always wore a hat. And I lived down on the coast, down in Clear Lake and Houston and so forth, and I always kept the hat on. So my skin isn't wrinkled up too much, and it's not because I've had a cosmetic surgery or anything like that. I just kept the damn sun off my face. I did have a necessity to have the VA raise up my eyebrows and eyelids because I was not being able to see very well, and that happened a couple of years ago. So a little bit of the forehead here has, been pulled up, but not much. So anyway, today I'm going to talk about a strong dose of truth for Christians the day before Easter. I wrote this yesterday, but today is Easter. It's March 31, 2024. Now, tomorrow, April 1st, is my official birthday, if you will. That's when I changed my name, April 1, 1988. Before I was turning 40 and after the first divorce. My wife hated me pretty intensely, and she walked away from the family and the 4 kids, and she wanted to keep my name. And I thought, this is crazy. So I changed my name, and I've been thinking about it a while anyway. So officially tomorrow, 1988, which, by the way, in 1988 fell on Good Friday. Good Friday fell on April 1st, and April 1st is April Fool's Day. So I had two traditions. One, that I was a fool for changing my name, and two, a greater tradition about transformations. So anyway, that's a little bit of history, and here we go. You Christians are going to have to wake up to the reality of the lies and manipulation of your preachers. Hebrews 8:10, Jeremiah 31:33, I believe, say the same thing. God has put his laws in your hearts and minds, and no one needs to teach anyone. I have another saying. You cannot follow anybody into heaven. You need to make sure you're on the right path with God, and that's through meditation and prayer and study. But you don't need a nun to talk to a priest, to talk to a bishop, to talk to a pope, to talk to a cardinal, to talk to Jesus. That direct channel to God and Jesus is open. Meditate, pray, and study. I have about 5 categories of areas I work in. One is poetry and politics, Christianity are 2 of the others, and WorldPeace, teaching peace. Probably next year, maybe after that, I will try to get a job at a university that's in sync with creating the very first curriculum for teaching peace in the world human society. Not a single university teaches peace. Why? It's real simple. You've seen examples of it recently. The boards that control the university, they're not homogeneous. You got liberals and conservatives, Democrats and Republicans and independents. And so the question is, what are we going to teach? Are we going to teach DEI? Are we going to teach woke? Are we going to teach what? And that will create a civil war on the board that will migrate down to the faculty, that will migrate down to the students. So if you want to burn down the university, just talk about teaching peace. People hate peace, and they more so hate people like me who teach peace and advocate peace. Why? Real simple. People hate change. They hate change more than anything in the world. They don't want anything to change. And increasing the peace in the world human society, you gotta make some changes. So anyway, let me talk about Jesus. This is called a strong dose of truth for Christians at Easter 2024. Friends, I'm Dr. John WorldPeace JD, the only advocate for Jesus Christ, John 14:25. 2, I'm not a corporate Christian. A corporate Christian looks at their church as a business. One look at your preacher will clear your thinking on this matter of whether you're in a Christian business or a church that's going to expand your understanding of spirituality. Does your preacher make more money than you? Has he got a better house than you? Has he got a better car than you? Well, if that's the case, you're in the wrong church. Because that church is a business. And it's a business. And you know, a lot of these preachers, they own the buildings and the church pays rent, so they get a little bit of side money coming in, along with their salary and perks and free lunches and all that stuff. I have a website called the Purple Order of Spiritual Christians. I have no organization, but what it is a template for Christians to break up into small groups and talk about their experience instead of with Jesus and God, instead of listening to a preacher spit it out to them. Preachers have agendas. Number 1, it's money. Number 2, it's power. That's what they're up there for. Any preacher that's making $1 million a year is a false preacher. Period. Wake up. All right. What did Jesus say about churches and business? Matthew 21:13. And Jesus said, "My house shall be a house of prayer, but you have made it into a den of thieves." And then he started turning over all the money changer tables and setting their doves and such free. And that, I will guarantee you, is the main reason, the main catalyst that these Zionist preachers decided that they needed to get rid of Jesus. He could run his mouth all that he wanted, but when he started cutting into their prophets, that's a different animal, and that's what the catalyst was to finally nail him to the cross. Okay. What's the qualification for a preacher? Matthew 19:21, Jesus said to the young man, "If you wish to be complete, go and sell your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. And then come follow me." You think Joel Osteen's going to sell out his estate? Going to give up his $10 million house? Not going to happen. His wife would walk on him about 5 minutes after he seriously suggested that. And all the rich preachers, I call them $1 billion Jesus shows. They're not about heaven and Christianity, the teachings of Jesus, which are spiritual teaching, beginning with Paul. Paul had to figure out how to take the spiritual teachings of Jesus and turn it into a bureaucratic religion. And the template he had was the Jewish system. Jesus was teaching spirituality, not corporate Christianity. What about converting your church to a political party, as in Christian nationalism? Mark 12:17, Jesus said, "Give to Caesar what is Caesar." In other words, Christianity is not about political parties. Christian nationalism is an abomination to God and Jesus. Corporate Christian nationalism. Corporate being a business, Christianity being a formal teaching of Jesus' words, and nationalism is a political party. Jesus did not endorse corporate religion, and he did not endorse political religion. A lot of the disciples were, I believe the word is scary or scary. These are radical Jews. And in 74 AD, they all withdrew to Masada, and the Romans closed them in, built a ramp, and the ones that didn't jump off of Masada and kill themselves were killed by the Romans. That's what happened there. So there was a radical, rebellious Jewish sector, and Jesus did not endorse that, didn't even talk about it. But I think Judas and others, probably Peter, were part of that radical political Judaism. Okay, what about Mega Trump cursing the radical liberal left? That's the foundation message of Jesus. Jesus is a radical, liberal, left guy. Got that? And when Trump curses the radical, liberal left, he's cursing Jesus. You cannot support Trump and Jesus. You can't do it. Matthew 25:34. Jesus' core message was to feed the hungry, heal the sick, shelter the homeless, etc. This is the radical liberal left message that Trump curses every day and twice on Sunday. Jesus said, if you do not follow this radical liberal left message of do unto others as you would do unto me, remember the Christian said, oh, Lord, when did we see you in jail? And when were you hungry? Blah, blah. Jesus said, if you do it to the least of you, you do it to me. So those homeless people you see on the streets as you go to church, better stop and help them. The sick, the hungry, etc., etc. And Jesus is very clear. He said, if you don't do this, you will go to hell. Saved or not, you're going to go to hell. That's the key getting into heaven. Do unto others. Heal the sick. Feed the hungry. Shelter the homeless, and so forth. You know what else I'm talking about. You can't believe in Jesus and Trump. Not only that, Trump is a prodigious liar. And what did Jesus say about liars? Of all the ways he defined Satan, out of the 10 Commandments, he chose liar. He said, you're the father of lies. There's no truth in you. And Trump is the biggest liar that ever existed. I don't know how many lies he told in his first round of presidency. 64,000 lies. He's still telling lies. You can't work for the RNC, the Republican National Convention, unless you sign a loyalty oath saying that you believe the 2020 election was stolen. The Jews crucified Jesus. When given a choice between the criminal Barabbas and Jesus, they told Pilate to crucify Jesus. All the miracles Jesus worked. And when it came down to the lick bog, what do you want? Jesus or Barabbas? The Jews said, give us Barabbas. And you know what they're saying now? Give us Trump. Wake up, people. You cannot vote for Trump and go to heaven, because Trump curses the radical, liberal, left, foundational message of Jesus Christ. Easter Sunday is the time to get your head right. Read what I've written. Not a single preacher in 36 years since I changed my name has challenged me on being the only advocate for Jesus Christ. I've printed this below. Contribute. Have a good Easter. This is Dr. John WorldPeace. Good day.